The following video was recorded on location in my state-of-the-art office in the corner of my first floor apartment. If you like what you're about to hear, please like, comment, share, subscribe, and hit that notification bell in the upper right corner. Thank you very much for taking the time to do this interview.
Yeah, no problem.
Well, awesome. Well, of course, we are here to talk about the brand new book release from Metal Blade Records, For the Sake of Heaviness, the history of Metal Blade Records, which comes out August 29th through Metal Blade and BMG. So I guess the first question would be, how did this whole book come together?
Well, we're kind of figuring out what we're going to do for our 35th anniversary, and, people have kind of been bugging me over the years to do a book, so it kind of felt like, well, that might be a fun thing to do for the 35th anniversary, and might as well start telling some of the story before I start forgetting it, and then we hooked up with BMG, who is an amazing partner, and it all kind of worked out.
Yeah, and it's so awesome to see that it is showing off in book form, being able to get all the stories out there, the good, the bad, the ugly, of everything that comes together in Metal Blade.
Yeah, we tried to get as much out as we could there and not make it too boring, hopefully.
So when this whole idea came to fruition with starting off to make a book, how did you know where to start?
Well, kind of just, I guess, just really starting, as far as writing the book, you mean?
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, really just kind of starting from the beginning and kind of telling the story from, back a little bit further that led up to actually the first album coming out and the label doing it, just to kind of give the pretext of the whole story. So it's kind of started with me, being a big metalhead and working at a record store and doing a fanzine and all these other things that did it led up to the original Metal Master, and then that kind of actually made a label happen after that.
Yeah, and it's such an amazing story that comes from that as well. I mean, you've been a part of so many great bands that have went on to do such amazing things just from being a fan and being able to help promote them.
Yeah, I mean, I just am extremely, lucky and honored to be able to work with so many great bands over all the years. So, yeah, I'm just a big fan, and just being involved in whatever little help I could do to help out all these bands is awesome.
So when this all started to come together 35 years ago with Metal Blade, did you have any vision of things coming out the way that they did, with Metal Blade becoming one of the biggest names in metal, or were you just like thinking more locally?
There was zero thought to anything back then. I mean, I wasn't thinking anything was going to happen. I mean, when I did the first record, I wasn't even intending on having a record label. I was just putting out a record to help the local the metal scene. And then, once I kind of got a distribution deal to bring that distributor some stuff, I thought, all right, that would be fun to do for a while. But there were no grand plans to become a big label or a real label or really anything. I was just kind of doing it all by the seat of my pants, really just to help the scene. I'd always trying to do is just help the scene, help the metal scene get bigger, and that was all my intentions were. And then, as time went on, the label kind of grew and grew, and then it kind of became something a little bit different than what I would have thought it would end up being.
When did you start to realize that, when the label was really starting to take off? When did it start to hit you that you were really making an impact on the metal community?
It's kind of tough because, back then it was so, we didn't have the internet or all these sort of things way back then, so it's hard to really kind of judge what's going on, and you're so focused on, what I was doing. In the first 3 years, I was just doing this all by myself, and my mom's garage, next to my mom's garage in the back of our house, so I wasn't really thinking about anything. I think when it first got to the point where we actually have an office and an employee is when I thought, oh, gee, this might actually be something, and that was, almost 3 years in, so that was probably the first time I thought, all right, well, we have an office and employee now, maybe this is getting a little more serious.
And when that started to happen, when you were able to make this more into a professional company, did you have any changes in mind of what you were looking for when it comes to music, or did you just focus on what you enjoyed?
Yes, all from day one until now, really. It's just whatever I like, and there's no formula, there's nothing. I can't tell you what we're looking for. Just if I hear something I like it, I'll want to work with it, and that was really been the philosophy through the entire 35 years of the company, and it hasn't changed. It was certainly that way in the early days, and it just happened that whatever I liked, I guess other people liked too, so that worked out okay.
Yeah, I would definitely say so. And that's why I've always appreciated Metal Blade, because it covers so much ground when it comes to metal. It's not sticking to just one style. There's so much that can be shown off in so many different ways with Metal Blade, and I've discovered so much of my favorite music thanks to the music that you enjoyed and signed.
Oh, well, thanks so much. And yeah, I'm like a lot of different stuff. You know, I like super heavy stuff, and I like melodic stuff. So, you know, my taste kind of runs the gamut. So we've tried to, over the years, kind of keep the label that way too, and just anything that we really end up liking, we end up working with, and that could be, you know, King's X to, you know, Cannibal Corpse. So there's no real rhyme or reason there.
Yeah, and it's so cool to see that too, and it really shows that metal is very accepting, or at least it should be in theory, because it doesn't matter how heavy or brutal or how distorted the guitars are or anything like that. Good music is good music.
I agree 1,000% with that, and it's funny because, you know, in the 80s, it was definitely, if you like Slayer, you couldn't like Queensrÿche, and there was this big divide then, and really Faith No More was the one band that kind of shattered all those things, where everybody's like, oh, that band's great, from, you know, all across the board, and then we kind of had that for a little while, and I think, you know, it does get back into that thing here and there nowadays, but I still think a lot of people, like, if you like one sort of heavy music, you can like other forms, and you don't have to just limit it to one thing.
And with that in mind, with having such an open mind when it comes to music, when you are picking out bands to fit onto the label, throughout the 35 years of Metal Blade, what have been some of your favorite examples of being able to show off the diversity of what you listen to as far as what you put on the label?
Well, yeah, there's a lot of cool stuff. I mean, obviously, back in the day, you know, being able to, we had to start a different label, a subsidiary label that we called Death Records, because we wanted to sign some punk bands, and back then, the punk bands didn't want to be on a label that had metal in it or was a metal label, so we started Death Records and signed, you know, DRI and COC and Dr. No and a bunch of really cool bands there, and then, you know, even moving forward, I was always a huge King's X fan, so to be able to work with them, you know, at a time, for a long period of time, was really amazing too. So yeah, there's a lot of that stuff out there, and just being able to bring bands like that into Metal Blade and work with them, and hopefully have them, you know, go on and do well, has always been our #1 goal.
Has there been any bands that you're particularly proud of that went on to make a success starting from Metal Blade?
Well, certainly, you know, going all the way back to Metallica and Slayer, I mean, those two bands have become so iconic and huge. The fact that both of them started on the label is pretty mind-boggling, and I'm still really good friends with both bands, and they're both included in the book as well, and gave some time to talk about things, which is really great. So, I mean, you can't go much further than, I mean, there's a million other bands, obviously, from, you know, Cannibal to Monomartha, Fates Warning, so many bands that we've worked with for so many years, but certainly those two bands starting out on the label and having a lot of success is pretty crazy.
Yeah, without question. I mean, who would have thought, like, right from the beginning with Metal Massacre that things would turn out the way that they have? I mean, with Metallica alone, let alone the entire track list for Metal Massacre.
Yeah, it's pretty scary looking back at, you know, what was going on in LA at that time. And I mean, for me, I was just in the right place at the right time, being able to help out those sort of bands. And really, the whole reason I did that first Metal Massacre was just because I was worried that, you know, people didn't know that there was this scene that was happening in LA, and we wanted to let people know. So seeing a lot of those bands get some success, obviously, is pretty awesome.
So, in the mind of 2017, when you're looking for new bands assigned to the label, what are you listening to now as far as, like, what you want to listen to?
You know, I still go back to my roots and stuff. My favorite band of all time is Iron Maiden. So, in addition to the last few weeks, I've been listening to Cannibal Corpse and Black Dahlia Murder mixes and masterings, getting all those things together. But, you know, I've been listening a lot to the last Iron Maiden album, Book of Souls, and I have an iPod Touch that I have that I'll take with me, and, you know, I'm traveling or sticking in the car or whatever. It's got about 3,500 of my favorite songs, pretty much all from the, like, 70s and 80s, and that's generally what I'll kind of listen to. Just put that stuff on shuffle and see what comes up, and listen to that stuff for fun. I still love all the stuff I grew up on. You know, I still love all that music.
Oh, that is just so cool to be able to see that. I mean, after all this time, you can still go back to the classics, the ones that you've been a part of, the ones that you grew up becoming a metal fan with. I mean, going back and listening to those albums and seeing where your career is now, that's a really cool thing to see.
Yeah, I'm still a big fan of metal. I think that's what still drives me to this day. I still love the music, and I still love listening to it all the time.
And somewhat with that, of course, in the early 90s, there was a lot of controversy that came from parental groups and everything that wanted to censor more albums and get the parental warnings onto labels. If that never would have happened, how do you imagine that Metal Blade would have turned out from the 90s on?
That's a really good question, because that certainly helped an awful lot. I mean, I talk to people all the time that would, look through bins, and just anything that had the parental sticker on it looked like a metal thing, they would end up buying. So, it's hard to say. I mean, in a weird way, that whole PMRC and all that censorship stuff actually did a lot to promote what we ended up doing. So, I don't know. It might not have been as big as it could have been if it wasn't for them. Who knows?
Yeah, that's actually a great way to look at it, too. I mean, that the more that you try to tell people what they can't do, the more those people want to go out and do those things. And it's very true when it comes to music. The more that you try to warn kids not to listen to this album for the artwork or the lyrics or whatever the case is, the more that they're going to try to go out and search for it.
Yeah, and it's always about rebellion, and music's always been that way. And I think what they did back in the day was kind of made it cool for kids who want to be rebellious to listen. That was the most rebellious music you listened to at that time. So, and I think we kind of lost a little bit of that sometimes in metal that we maybe need. But you're exactly right.
Yeah, I mean, it's a lot of things that we can take for granted now. I mean, especially considering the internet, where, like, if you go onto YouTube, you don't necessarily see those, like, explicit warnings or anything like that. I mean, that was for the physical albums and cassettes and vinyl from back in time. But, it's just, it really took that moment for things to really get propelled from the 90s on.
Yeah, it's crazy how all that stuff happened. And then, I mean, in the 90s, we also had, right after that kind of metal scene kind of went away a little bit, because it, became a bit of a caricature of itself as well. So, yeah, the 90s were a crazy time period.
Was there any concern about that when the mid to late 90s were coming around and, like, more new metal was taking over, but it became not cool to really focus on metal? I mean, was that ever a concern for you?
Well, clearly the mainstream, metal was out of the mainstream, but what I argue is that the underground was very, very together. We had a good run for the 90s with, we had Cannibal Corpse, 6 Feet Under, Guar, Merciful Fate, King Diamond. All of those bands were doing extremely well, selling an awful lot of records, but nobody really knew about it that much because it was so underground. And I think that's kind of a bit of a lost time frame. I see kids all the time, for example, a King Diamond show, that was like, hey, man, I just went out and heard about that Voodoo record the other day. I listened to it. Man, that's a really great record. And I think that there's a lot of really good music in the 90s that doesn't get any sort of love that it should, because people just think, metal was dead, it was over. People weren't really doing anything good there except for maybe death metal, and that was the extent of it. But there's an awful lot of stuff there that I would encourage people to go back and kind of listen to, because it is kind of, especially the second half of the 90s, kind of the forgotten decade of metal, because it almost did go away for a minute until it kind of reinvented itself.
And with that, in 2017, how do you feel about the state of the metal industry right now?
Well, I think overall it's pretty good. I mean, you've got, you still have a lot of bands like, Iron Maiden and Metallica headlining, stadiums and arenas and all these amazing festivals throughout Europe and in America now. We have all these great bands playing, and I think the state of it is pretty good. And there's a lot of really good new bands coming up. I think the only issue I have right now is it's really, really difficult to break new artists. And really, in the last probably maybe 10 years, the only one that's really kind of broken through is Ghost. And that's really been it. We haven't seen anybody else that is really a new band kind of come through and make a big thing. I think it's very difficult right now because there's so many different mediums out there for people to discover music that it's hard to get. It's not like there's, a Headbangers Ball or or MySpace or whatever it was that was kind of driving music for those periods of times. We don't really have that one thing now. That makes it difficult because there's so much noise out there. There's so many different ways for people to listen to and consume music that it makes it harder for them to get new music. And it also seems like the younger kids are more, they love the music, but they don't necessarily want to have their own scene. It's like, their favorite bands are Metallica or Iron Maiden or Cannibal Corpse or whatever it is. And they don't really look for those new things. That's my only concern now, is that's a bit of trouble. But we also see, if you go back in time, there's always a big kind of shift change at the beginning of every decade. You had, from the 70s to the 80s, that's when kind of metal, came back with, the Maidens and Metallicas and the whole scene that we were involved with. And then the early 90s, you had the grunge thing come in and kind of take over for heavy music and did what that did. And then when metal was almost kind of dead, in the early 2000s, you had the whole kind of metalcore thing that kind of lifted the entire scene back up again. So it'll be interesting to see as we come to the end of this decade, going to the next one, what may or may not happen. But I think there's an awful lot of really good new bands out there, maybe more than I've seen in a long time. So that makes me excited.
And that makes me excited too, as a fan and as someone that likes to go out and promote the music I care about. It's because there are so many different outlets out there. For a lot of people, it can become very overwhelming. Like, there's so much new music that people can check out because it's so easy, whether it's from YouTube or Spotify or anywhere on the internet, social media in general, just being able to check out all these different forms of music. But when a label is able to help discover a band and really be able to help push them, just like Metal Blade has done over the last 35 years, it really helps bring those bands into a new light and potentially start something new. I mean, whether you got something like Null Knockroth doing what they're doing, or you have like Merciful Fate or Slayer or Metallica from the past, I mean, it's just like, it really covers so much ground, and it's great to see that despite everything that's going on with so many different outlets, that you guys are able to still keep going strong.
Yeah, we've been doing this a long time, so you kind of adapt to the changes that are going on, and certainly, we're in a big change in the business end of things, how things are, how people consuming stuff. But we've been pretty happy with, the way things are going. It's definitely going better now than we thought it was, because clearly we're losing some of our physical element, which has always been the driving force for us, and replacing it with the streaming element, which we weren't sure how quickly that was all going to move. But right now it's moving way quicker than we ever could have thought. So that's a good thing. And now our job is to really kind of concentrate on, okay, how do we use these new tools that we have to really promote and get some of these bands to really break? Because you look at Spotify, for example, there's a place where they've broken a ton of these new artists, whether it's the Chainsmokers, The Weeknd, on and on, because people who go to Spotify that like that kind of music will go and listen to playlists and discover new artists. We haven't seen that quite yet with the metal people, but I think only it's a matter of time before they start to do that. And then we hope we'll see some of the same things that happen in those other genres happen for us.
Yeah, and I really feel that way as well, because I've always noticed that music trends seem to go into a style where it's really cool to be able to play your instruments in the mainstream, then it's not so cool to play instruments in the mainstream. And I think that cycle is going to be coming up, and kind of like you touched on back before with Ghost really taking off over the last couple of years, I think there's going to be a lot of bands that are inspired by that and wanting to bring back the heavier sides of rock and metal, and I think that'll make things start to be really cool again to want to expose metal like that.
That's what we're all hoping for sure, because like I said, I think that there's certainly not a shortage of really good, exciting new bands out there. It's just a matter of getting people to be able to hear them that we need to make happen, obviously.
Yeah, absolutely. And going back again into the book, I mean, it's really cool to see that you are able to cover so much ground over the last 35 years. And just like we were talking about with now streaming being one of the leading ways for people to discover new music, I mean, you went through so many different things when it comes through vinyl to cassettes to CDs to the beginning of MP3s and stuff like that. I mean, so there's always been format changes going on there, and I'm glad to see that Metal Blade was able to go on with the streaming capabilities and keep going strong.
The one thing that I learned early on is that you have to change and adapt to whatever's coming. We kind of made a mistake early on with vinyl, thinking that it was not going to go away, and it clearly did, and that almost bankrupted the whole company. So I was like, okay, we made that mistake, let's not do that again. So I think whenever something comes in, we want to embrace it and make it work for us however we can, and then we'll kind of go from there. Because our main motivation is to help the
and speaking of that, even though it feels like it kind of went away over the last year or so, how did you feel about that vinyl revival that was going on for a bit?
I mean, it's still happening. I mean, it's still been really good. I mean, we're still selling crazy amounts of vinyl right now. So I have my fingers crossed that it keeps going on and on and on. You know, we'll see. But certainly for now, it's really interesting. And now you're even seeing, I mean, I don't know how long this is going to last. I think it's a real novelty. But now cassettes all of a sudden are coming back in a very strange way.
And, well, thinking about that, too, it's like I've really noticed that, especially in the underground, that cassettes have been really coming into vogue now. But for you personally, what's your favorite way to listen to music? Outside of hearing it live, like what format do you like to listen to music in?
Well, it kind of depends on where I'm at. I mean, obviously, I love the ease of having, you know, an iPod Touch or something where I can listen to stuff all the time. I also love the streaming stuff where, you know, anywhere you go, you know, you turn on your computer or your phone, and you can pretty much listen to anything you want to listen to. But if I really want to listen to music, like for the pure enjoyment and sound quality of listening to it, I'll go back and listen to vinyl, because you can't beat that setup of, you know, vinyl and how warm and true it sounds. So if I'm sitting at home and I've got some time and I really want to get into something, that's ultimately my favorite way to do it. But, you know, because I'm traveling and on the go all the time, I love those other ways as well. So I like the fact that there's a lot of different ways you can listen to music, because it means you're never without it. So that's good.
And that's also a great way to get your name out there as well. I mean, just like you were talking about, like being on the cutting edge of all the different formats there is to be able to check out music through Metal Blade. I mean, as long as you stay on top of that, then there's no excuse not to check out what you're doing through Metal Blade.
That is very true. So that's stated that way.
So with all this in mind and getting able to capture some of the best, worst, everything that's been going on in the world of Metal Blade over the last 35 years with this new book, for people who are interested in checking out the book or interested in getting into heavier styles of music, what would you give for advice to people who want to venture more into the metal world that may not be familiar with it yet?
Well, definitely get the book and read that first. That's a good start. You'll see where kind of a lot of stuff, especially a lot of bands you're probably familiar with, started and how they grew. So that's a good way. But, you know, I mean, there's so many different ways to do that now. It's really difficult. I think it depends on however the person consumes the music. Clearly, if you're on, you know, one of the streaming services like Spotify or Apple Music, there's great playlists that you can go to discover new music. Or, you know, same thing if you're, you know, listening, if you're going to app, you know, if you're downloading stuff, you know, download stuff, they'll recommend you other things to listen to. Pretty much all these services will, if you're listening to one thing, will recommend other stuff for you to go to. So there's so many different ways to really consume and listen to new music. And certainly, you know, great publications, podcasts, radio. I mean, so many different places to go for you to listen to stuff and have people turn you on to bands. And, you know, just pick whatever you want to do and go in that direction. I think the main thing is just have an open mind that you want to discover new stuff. I think that's the real big thing these days. Is I don't know that as many people as I would like to see them have that open mind of I want to hear new stuff. I'm really open to that. And then if you're open to that, then I think you'll find some really great things.
And with that in mind, for inspiring musicians that want to go out and start a new band and try to make an impact like bands have in the past, what would you say would help out a band that's relatively unknown or just starting up right now to help them break through and get noticed?
Well, yeah, that's a tough one. It's certainly not easy for bands. I think there's a couple of things. I think if once you form a band, it's okay to have a lot of influences, but don't sound like your influences. In other words, if you love Black Dahlia Murder, don't just sound like them. Try to cultivate your own sound that you within that band likes. Don't listen to what anybody else says outside of that. I think that's the most important thing, so you can kind of be a unique and different style of band. Then once you do that, you know, you got to get out into whatever community you're into, play as many shows you can, you know, get in touch with radio stations, record stores, whoever is in your local scene that can help you, get in touch with them, make contacts there. Definitely social media is a massive thing. Get on social media, start promoting yourself there, do all of those sort of things, and, you know, cultivate it as a band. And once you do that, eventually you start to get noticed by more and more people, and then, you know, you can go from there. It's a lot more difficult than it used to be, that's for sure, because you have all these other components in there. But first and foremost, and most importantly, concentrate on the music, make the best music you can, and make the music that you as a band love. Don't listen to what anybody else says, because you ask whether it's Slayer or Metallica sells, and then luckily other people like it. That's the best way to do that.
Well, awesome. Well, Brian, thank you so very much for taking the time to talk to me about everything that's going on in the world of Metal Blade right now, especially the brand new album For the Sake of Heaviness, The History of Metal Blade Records, which comes out August 29th through Metal Blade and BMG. I'm definitely going to be picking this up when it comes out. I can't wait to read it and check out all the stories that's on there and just see what it was really like to be in the metal scene from the 80s through today, and I can't thank you enough for taking the time to do this. Before we wrap things up here, is there anything else you'd like to mention that I haven't brought up yet?
Well, first of all, thanks to you for the time, and I appreciate that. And just thanks to everybody out there that supported us over the years, because it's not for everybody out there helping us out, we wouldn't be able to do this. So a big thank you to everyone there, because otherwise we wouldn't be doing this 35 years later for sure.